Okay, guys, first lesson of the flipped classroom 2014. I'm super excited to be venturing into this with you guys, and I hope that it's very successful for both of us. So you'll see here on the screen that today's objective is solving systems of equations by elimination. So this is the third type of solving method that we're learning. We first learned graphing, where we graphed two lines and tried to find their intersection. We also did substitution, where we had a variable that was easily isolated or already isolated, and we substituted that into the other equation. And today we're going to look at the third type, called elimination, sometimes also referred to as the addition method. So let's look at a few examples here so I can kind of explain what we are doing. So first example is 2x plus y equals 9, and 3x minus y equals 16. Now remember, to be a system of equations, you have to have two equations that are solved simultaneously containing the same variables. So our goal is to find that one ordered pair that makes both of these equations be true statements. So when we talk about using elimination, we're literally talking about trying to get rid of one of the variables. So, the word eliminate means to get rid of. So we're going to try to get rid of one of these variables. Now how we do that is we make this problem into a giant addition problem, and we literally are just going to add like we normally would add. So 2x plus 3x makes 5x's. Now here's the cool part. Because this is a positive y and this is a negative y, when we add these two together, they actually are going to cancel each other out. Then we're going to get 9 plus 16, which is 25. We're going to divide both sides by 5. X equals 5. This is my actual favorite way to solve systems. I think it's the quickest way too. Substitution is pretty nice, but it takes a lot of time, and their problems are a lot of work. So now that we have our x equals 5, we do the same thing. We come back up here to one of our original problems. Makes no difference which one. I'll use the top one. I'm going to substitute 5 in the place of x. So that's going to be 10 plus y equals 9. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So y is equal to -1. So I'm going to say that my ordered pair is 5, -1. Now if I want to check that, just like we did with substitution, I can put a 5 in for the place of the x in each of my equations, and I can put a -1 in the place of y for each of my equations, and I can do a real quick check step just to make sure that everything's going to be okay. So we're going to take 2 times 5, which is 10, and then it's going to be plus -1, so it's really just 10 minus 1, which is 9, so I know that equation checks out. We're going to take 3 times 5, which is 15, minus -1, so it's really going to become plus 1, so 15 plus 1 is 16. I know that we have a correct answer. So let's take a look at another example. So we will look at 3y plus 2x equals 6. Sorry, that's a terrible x there. And 5y minus 2x equals 10. Now I want to point out something here so that we understand why elimination works. So in order for elimination to work, you have to have the same number with different signs in front of one of your variables. So that's the only way that elimination is going to work. Now there are ways that we can manipulate equations to make that happen, but if we're still going to use the elimination method, we have to have the same number with different signs in front of one of our variables. That's a very, very important note right there. So I noticed that I already have that with these x's, because that's a positive 2 and that's a -2, so they're same number, 2's, but one's positive, one's negative. That's different signs. 3y plus 5y makes 8y's. 2x minus 2x becomes 0. 6 plus 10 becomes 16. Dividing both sides by 8, we're now going to get that our y is supposedly equal to 2. Take that 2 back up to your original problem. Either one makes no difference. I'll go with the top one, so it's going to be 3 times 2 plus 2x equals 6. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2x is 6. Well, I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. Uh-oh, I'm going to get a 0. Most of you probably think that means it's wrong, but it isn't, because 0 divided by any number is 0. So my final answer there is 0, comma 2. And again, you could do the check step real quick. So 2 times 0 becomes 0, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 plus 0 is 6. That one works. 5 times 2 is 10, 2 times 0 is 0, 10 minus 0 is 10. That one works. So I know that solution is also correct. Alright, one more example for you guys. So with this example, I want to show you how we can manipulate the equations a little bit to get what we need so that we are able to eliminate. So I notice in this problem that these x's both have a 1 in front of them, but neither of them are negative. So the cool way that we can do this is that we can pick either one of our equations, top or bottom, and we can multiply the whole equation by -1. Now we've talked about multiple times how anytime you multiply by -1, all it's literally doing is changing the signs. So that x is now going to become -x. And that minus 2y is now going to become plus 2y. And the -9 is now going to become positive 9. Big mistake most students make is they don't distribute the -1 to everything. They forget about this -9. So make sure that you distribute to everything. Now the bottom equation, I don't need to do anything to it because it will already have the positive x that I'm looking for. So make a big addition problem. -x plus x becomes 0 or cancels out. 2y plus 3y becomes 5y. And 9 plus 16 becomes 25. When we divide both sides by 5, we get y equals 5. So again, go back up to one of your original problems and go ahead and substitute. So it's going to be x minus 2 parentheses 5 equals -9. So it's going to be x minus 10 equals -9. I'm going to add 10. So x is equal to 1. So final answer of 1, 5. Alright guys, so just to sum up what we did, if we're going to use elimination, we have to have the same variable that has the same coefficient but different signs in front of them. So the numbers have to be the same, but the sign can be different. We make the problem into a giant addition problem. We literally add like we normally would, and we solve, and then we substitute to find the other variable. If for some reason the numbers have the same number, but one of the signs needs to be changed, all you do is multiply one of the equations by -1 so that it changes the signs, and then that way you can set it up and make it a big addition problem. Go ahead and add, substitute, find both of your answers. I'm going to ask that you guys head on over to Edmodo. You are going to need to use the actual web address, not the app, to do this. And when you log in there, you'll see an assignment. It's probably going to be under quizzes because that way it will just grade it for you. I want you to know whether or not you got the questions right or not, so that way we know what we needed to discuss tomorrow in class before we start working out our practice problems. So remember, your job is to watch the videos, do your 2 or 3 practice questions, and then bring your notes and any questions you had about the lesson to class on the next day so that we can discuss anything that you might not be sure of. Again guys, I really appreciate your participation in this, and flipped classrooms are not possible without students. So thank you so very much. I'm really looking forward to this.